Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex over at Laser Everything, and today I'm bringing you two microscope reviews. These are USB digital microscopes, and they're great for doing a ton of different stuff like checking your timings or inspecting your engravings. It's a must-have for pretty much everyone who uses a laser. We've got two different models here. You can see right off the bat, they're very similar, but they do have one big difference. The Dcorn over here has the big 7-inch display, while the Jiusion, I don't know how to pronounce it, they're both Chinese, does not. But they both have some amazing features, and they both work really well, assuming that you were using them the right way and you have limited expectations, right? These are both sub $120 USB microscopes. This one's really inexpensive. This one's just a little bit more expensive than that. So we're gonna get into all the details, all the features. We're gonna cover it all right now. So don't go anywhere. Let's get started. So what are these? What do they do? Well, they're USB microscopes. So they allow us to see things that are really small. And when we're engraving and we're really trying to dial in our laser settings, these are indispensable. They're really important to have. Right off the bat, just to show you kind of, if we look at them from the side here, they're not that different. Both have an aluminum base, some kind of like railed tower here, where we are able to adjust up and down to get closer and further to our subject. Both have kind of this microscope tower here. This one's a little bit different, but they operate mostly in the same way. And they both have USB ports to connect to a computer or a phone. What's different about them? Well, this model supposedly has Wi-Fi, though I couldn't get it to work, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But other than that, pretty bare bones. This one over here does not include Wi-Fi, but you get this gorgeous 7-inch display, and this display is actually really nice. It does what it needs to do, and it does it super well. Outside of that, they both have some kind of brightness adjustment for the built-in LED lights. These are kind of in a ring light fashion around the barrel, and these have these external movable lights, which are very nice. And that's about where the similarities end. But we've got a ton to talk about both of these things, so just stay put because we've got a lot to cover. The first one we're going to talk about right now is the Jiusion. I'm just going to say Jiusion. The next one we're going to talk about is the Jiusion. I'm still not certain on the pronunciation there. So let's set this one aside and we'll take a look at the smaller one here. This one comes in at a really palatable $40. So this is a $40 USB microscope. And again, we're just going to roll through really quick. So it does come disassembled, and you just have to kind of get this rail here onto the mount. You can screw it in, and it's got a locking bolt so you can lock it in place. And it's pretty sturdy, and it's got two little pressure screws right here, so you just position this correctly and then tighten these up, and that's going to go ahead and sit right in its spot where it needs to go. Now for the smaller one, there's three different ways that you can connect to this to view the image. The first way is via Wi-Fi. Now I tried to get this thing to connect to my phone via Wi-Fi. It uses an app on the Play Store called Scope View, and you download the app and connect to the Wi-Fi signal that this thing puts out. And then you supposedly open the app and it will connect and allow you to view the screen. You can take screenshots. You can even take videos to the SD card. I couldn't even get that far. I got connected to the Wi-Fi that this thing puts out, and then I open the app and I just get a black screen. Also, this thing doesn't put out a Wi-Fi signal if it's connected via USB. So you do just want to make sure that you turn it on and then wait for a second for the Wi-Fi signal to start broadcasting, and then you'll be able to connect to it from your phone that way. I'm not sure why it's not working. And of course, there's no support for this, right? So we had to get a little bit more creative in order to get an image out of this. And there's two different ways that you can do that. Now, assuming you can't get your Wi-Fi to work, the smartest way to connect to this so that you can view the image is with a USB cable directly into a laptop or desktop computer. You just plug the USB into the end and then plug it into your computer. And over here we have a little camera / power button. We're just going to press and hold that for a couple of seconds, and it's going to go ahead and power on. And once that's powered on, you can go ahead and open any camera app on your computer. We'll go ahead and demonstrate that for you now. So here we are on the desktop, and we can just type in camera, and it's going to go ahead and pull up our Windows camera app. And once that loads up, we just want to hit this icon right up here in the top. That's the change camera button. So if we go ahead and click that, it's going to change our camera for us. There's the integrated camera in my laptop. Let's click it again. And here's the laser cam. That's not what we want, so we'll click it again. And there it is, general. And when we zoom in here, so let's just go ahead and focus to our material, you can actually see we've got right here our image from our camera, and you're actually looking at the anodized aluminum surface of the bed there. We can go ahead and slide something like a post-it note. Here's a post-it note that I was taking notes on earlier underneath the camera here, and there's ink from my pen. So you're actually getting a decent view at this right now. So it says 50 times zoom to 1,000 times zoom, and you can see we're pretty far away from our post-it note here. This ring in the center is your focus dial. So if we just twist this, it's going to adjust our focus there for us. And I'm as far away up on the rail as I can get, and we can go ahead and dial that in. So this would be the 50x zoom. Now we can just go ahead, if you loosen this screw in the back, it'll give you rapid movement of your zoom here. And we can go ahead and just roll this way super close. So here's our most zoomed in that we can get this thing. Now it's like right on top of the post-it note. It's as close as I can actually get it. And you can see some of the fibers there inside of the post-it note paper, which is really, really cool. I'm not sure if it's exactly 1,000 times zoom, but it is very, very close. And this is what we can expect from, you know, a microscope in this price range. So I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here so far. And this is just a general test. We are going to go ahead and test some other materials as well after we get over kind of the basics. Another feature of this microscope is that it does actually have a brightness adjustment here for the lights that are built into the barrel. So if you can see down in my little video clip here, you can see the light darkening and brightening, and you can adjust that to get just like the perfect contrast on what you are trying to look at. So here's a view of just a black lacquer aluminum plate that we engraved, and you can see even just the individual pulses of the pulsed laser. You can see those pulses in this view. So, you know, this is a great example of how powerful these inexpensive microscopes can be. And the light adjustment really, really helps us to get a great contrast so that we aren't blowing out the image. It's really vital that that's there. So there it is on the side, and that's performing as well as I could hope for. One of the great things about connecting this to a laptop via USB is that with the Windows camera app, you can go ahead and shoot video, and you can go ahead and take stills of whatever you're looking at for use on social media, or for review later, or for sharing with your friends. So this is a really handy way to connect to this microscope. But if you don't have a laptop available to you, you can still connect it to your phone even if the Wi-Fi doesn't work, and we're going to talk about that right now. So I definitely wouldn't recommend buying this microscope for the Wi-Fi functionality, but we can still use it on the phone, and that's just with this USB to USB-C adapter. This one came with my Google Pixel, but you can pick these up on Amazon for next to nothing. They're very, very inexpensive, and if we just go ahead and plug that into the bottom of our phone, and then take the Microscope USB cable out of the computer and plug that into the adapter, this is actually going to work for us on our phone as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and record my screen here. So what we need is the USB camera app. It's available on the Google Play Store and may be available on the Apple App Store as well. If not, I'm sure there's something very similar. We'll just go ahead and open that up. It wants me to use the Pro version here because I have that. We'll talk about that in a second. But if we just hit cancel, we can see there is our view right there. We can see our microscope. It works immediately. Much easier than trying to mess with the Wi-Fi on this thing. And if you're just sitting here using the microscope, there's no real reason not to use the USB anyway. You're going to have a more stable connection. There are some adjustment settings here for the picture, but I haven't been able to get them to work. So I've just left that alone, but it doesn't really matter because we have our little light adjustment directly on the microscope anyway, so that gives us as much contrast control as we could possibly need. And in this menu down here, we do have options for a snapshot, so we can take a quick photo, we can record directly to our phone, or we may be able to set this up with an IP camera server. I haven't messed with that yet, but an interesting option. We can also turn this sideways, and this is where the ads get really, really obnoxious, but it does give you a fuller view of what we're looking at here with the microscope. Now, the pro version of this app is only $5, so I definitely recommend just dropping the $5 and getting the pro version. There's no ads, so it gets those horrible ads out of your face, and all of the other features are the same. So you know, this really is a cool app. It even gives you, like, you can zoom in way further than you would be able to do just on like a Windows computer. So having it on the phone, very, very nice. And it does work super well with the microscope. So if you have the right viewing setup, this little $40 microscope can be awesome to use. I'm a little disappointed that the Wi-Fi feature on this is giving me such a hassle. I know that staff members on the Discord server have been able to get the Wi-Fi on this thing to work, so I don't know why I'm struggling with it so much. I wouldn't recommend it for the Wi-Fi, but that issue aside, I still think you get $40 worth of value out of this, especially if you plan on using it with a laptop or via USB on the phone. Again, those little USB-C to regular USB adapters are super duper cheap on Amazon. There's a link in the description. I've also got links to the USB camera app on the Play Store in the description, so if you just want to click to get straight to those so you don't have to search around for them, those links are down there for you as well. But yeah, for $40, this thing is a gem. I still think you're getting a lot of value out of it despite its flaws, but it's $40, right? So I think this is a great little device. But if you want a few more features and you're okay with spending a little more money, I would say set this guy aside and take a look at the Dcorn, because this thing is a beast. It's everything in one package, okay? It does have this little remote here, so this is a little bit different. The small one only has one USB on the top. This guy has a couple different USB ports, and it can be a little confusing, but I'm going to walk you through it really quick. If we look right here, we have our up and down button for moving through the menus, and we'll talk about the menus. This middle button is for OK. We have a quick snapshot button here. That's our little camera icon. Our mode button, that's the M there for changing modes, and our power button. With that aside, we can actually tilt this screen, like actuates, which is, I mean, I just think that's cool in general because I'm a dork. But also we have our focus adjustment here, and we've got the same exact raising and lowering knobs here for our zoom. So that is also the same as the smaller unit. We've got our power in port here. Below that, we have a SD card slot, and this unit actually comes with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card, which is awesome. You can record directly on this device without needing it to be connected to something external. We'll talk about that a little more in a second. This key port here is the port that we will be using to power our lights, and we'll chat about that as well in a second. And last but not least, we do have our brightness adjustment knob here for those lights. So how do we set this thing up? You do have your little remote here, and then it's got, so this jack plugs into your key port on the side of the monitor, and then it splits with a little Y there, and one part goes to a little remote control, and this micro USB connection actually powers your lights. You can go ahead and plug that in on the back of the unit right there, and that's going to provide power to these lights. There's another adjustment knob here, I believe, for changing the brightness of the lights. We'll mess around with that in a second, but this thing's got knobs and dials and buttons all over it. For now, just plug this into the key socket on the monitor and make sure that your lights are powered in the back. With all that done, we can go ahead and press the power button over here, and this microscope is going to boot up. Now, if we go ahead and focus down to our material, we'll see it come in focus there, and it really does look brilliant. That's just awesome. And by using the slider on the back of the unit, we can go ahead and turn the brightness of those lights up and down. There are a few different ways to adjust the brightness on this unit. The dial in the back adjusts the brightness of the side lights. So these little side lights that are bendable and movable, those lights are controlled by the dial on the back, and we can make those brighter or darker. Then there's a second knob on the side of the unit right here, and that knob actually controls the brightness of the ring light that sits around the barrel of the actual microscope itself. So you can control the lighting from directly overhead as well as from the side. So having that extra control over the lights is very, very nice. Now, you can use this entire microscope just like this. You don't need any other device connected, and that's one of the things I love about this one in particular. You've got your little remote right here. So we've got a lot of little menus in here, and we can post a full guide to this another time, because this is just supposed to be a simple review, but I want to show you some of the features. So if we go ahead and hit the mode button, we can see we've got a bunch of different camera settings. You can set the resolution, burst shooting, your image quality, sharpness, ISO, exposure compensation, and you can turn the date tag on and off. So lots of different options in there. And you can also hit the mode button again to find some of the actual settings in here, like the date and time, automatic shutdown to save battery, screen protection, so it'll turn the screen off so you don't get burn-in, language settings, and a few other things in here. So even adjusting the light source frequency, so if you're getting some kind of jitteriness with the frequency of the lighting, you can adjust that so that you get a better recording, along with a ton of other things in here as well. The other thing that you really want to know is that this playback button right here actually switches you between photo mode, video mode, and playback mode. And you can, yes, you can play back videos you've taken on this device right on the device, which is really, really cool. One of the other things you want to know is that the mode menu here, where we have our different settings and such, here in camera mode, you can see we have our camera related settings. But if we exit this menu and go into video mode, when we hit that button again, it's going to show us our video settings. So you do want to make sure you're in the right mode in order to get the appropriate settings if that's something you're trying to change. I'd also like to point out that both this unit and the smaller one that we were just talking about has a built-in battery. So neither of these need to be plugged in order to be used. It's just something I thought I'd throw out there. So both of these can be plugged in, and that's the next thing we're going to do with this right now, is we're going to go ahead and plug this in so that we can take a look at how it reacts to being plugged into something. Like the smaller unit, you can plug this into a PC or a smartphone. For this demonstration, we're going to go ahead and plug it into the PC. So we'll go ahead and plug this into the USB port on the side of the unit and plug that into our computer. And we're going to get a couple different options here. You can either use your remote or the up and down buttons over here to navigate through this menu. And you've got a couple different options. The first is mass storage. So if you want to access the SD card on a computer to transfer things off, you can go ahead and hit mass storage and it'll open up as a folder in Windows. If we come down, you can see PC camera. This is the option that we're going to select if we want to use this with the PC or the phone's webcam software. You can use the same exact USB cam software on the phone that we used on the smaller unit. And then there's just plain old charging mode. So at first I thought if this unit was plugged in, you couldn't use the monitor. That's not true. We just want to select charging mode, and when we hit OK, it's just going to charge the unit and not send video through the USB cable. I'd also like to just show you really quick what this looks like when we plug this in via the port here. And we do select the PC camera mode because it does do something a little funky. So if we hit OK there, it's going to just show us this blue screen here, and we heard the ding from Windows, which means that it is connected. And we can actually add this as a source in OBS here. So let me pull that up and I will show you. So it will work with Windows webcam. You're not going to be able to look at it on the screen at the same time, but you can view this on the computer or the phone as well. So let's talk about uses. What can you use this for? Well, here is the black lacquer aluminum tag that we've been looking at this whole episode, and that is as close as I can get to it. Seriously, it's that small. Really, really tiny. You can see their Laser Everything microscope review. We've also got a couple timing boxes. Obviously, this microscope is going to be excellent for looking at things that are small. If I go ahead and zoom out here, so you guys can see me again, we've got our little preview up here. Let's make that a little bit bigger of our microscope view. And if we slide this underneath, and you can see just how much zoom we're getting. One of the things I love about the bigger unit, by the way, is the auto ISO. The smaller unit doesn't do that. It doesn't adjust automatically based on the available light. This one does. And like I was mentioning earlier, you can see the individual pulses of the laser on this microscope at this size. And here is an example of what laser timing looks like. So you can actually see your laser timing lines, and they look really good right now. So I've got this dialed in just about the way that I want it. I've been messing with this, and we're going to do a video on that soon. But just look at those lines, man. I mean, you can actually see every individual line that the laser is processing when it's running. This is at 0.2 millimeters, and I actually ran one at 0.1 millimeters on the other side here as well. So you can see those are really close together, and still we can see every individual line that we are marking on this plate. So very cool. Both of these microscopes have this excellent resolution. They both have great lenses, and they both really resolve detail well. So the main differences are going to be the screen on this one, and also the lighting, right? That auto ISO, and then of course being able to record directly to the unit without needing external hardware. You know, I love the 7-inch screen on this thing. I think it's so fun to just be able to view these items directly on the screen through the microscope lens. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. So here's the metal plate, and really quick, I'm just going to take a couple seconds and we're going to look at a bunch of stuff. Let's just look at all the stuff that we possibly can under this microscope. I'm sure that's what you came here for. You've probably heard me talking enough about it, so let's look at some stuff under the microscope and see how it does. I saved the grand finale there for the end with the phone screen and the pixels. I think that really demonstrates the power of these USB microscopes. So whether you go with the $40 no screen version, or you decide to splurge on the $115 Dcorn with the 7-inch screen, you really can't go wrong. Both of these are great at what they do. Again, the only disappointment anywhere in this entire review was that I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work on this unit, but it didn't really hold me back from being able to use this as a usable unit. Now, I don't need both of these USB microscopes, so I'm going to keep the shiny fancy Dcorn for myself, but if you want to win the $40 USB microscope, go ahead and leave a comment on this video and let me know what you would use this for. I'm going to pick one lucky winner at random, and I'm going to send it off at the end of the week. So go ahead and drop that comment, and while you're down there, if you just want to pick one up, there's links to both of these microscopes in the description of the video. Like I said, neither one is a bad choice. They're both really quality products, and you know, I'm surprised but also not surprised. Technology's come a really long way, and the stuff coming out of China is getting better every day. So both of these, again, great units, links in the description. If you got value out of this video, go ahead and smash the like button. Let everybody else know the content is good. And if you really loved it and you love the channel and you want to support it, go ahead and check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/lasereverything. Right now you can get instant access to my entire fiber laser and CO2 laser libraries. You get bonus Patreon episodes. We do multiple times a week. We do live streams for our patrons where we do jobs that we've got in the shop and try to teach you guys as we go along. So lots and lots of value to extract from that Patreon that'll help you along on your laser journey. And speaking of value, don't forget to check out the Discord. It's free and it's an amazing community. We have over 700 members now, 700 members on that Discord community, and people love to chat. They share photos and help each other out when they're struggling. We love to talk about different settings and techniques to get the best marks. It's very much a rising tide raises all boats situation. A lot of open and free communication there. So if you're looking for a laser community where you can feel comfortable and at home, check out the Discord. There's links to that and the Patreon in the description, right next to the link to these bad boys. Thank you so much for hanging out for the reviews on these. I tried to keep it brief. There's just so much to cover. They do so many different things for such a reasonable, in my opinion, amount of money. And I'm really excited to play with it. Don't forget to leave a comment if you want to win the $40 microscope. Again, I'm going to pick a winner at random at the end of the week, so get in on that while you can. And that's it, guys. That's all I've got. So I guess I will see you in the next one.